Hello and welcome to the Best Today podcast. I am Shantae Grant and today I am answering one of your questions. This question was submitted and it reads, can you please give some advice for making time for yourself and husband when you have little kids and a job? Thank you. Yes, I can give you some thoughts and some things to think through and some guidance on exactly how to work through this. This question is actually extremely nuanced. I want you to keep listening even if you are not a working mother. Well, let me just say a mother because I believe all mothers are working mothers. There is work involved in mothering all in itself. Because again, as usual, the principles here can be applied whatever stage of life you find yourself in. But at the root of this question is what I'm hearing. You know, when I look at my time, it's all taken up and nothing is available for me or for my relationship with my husband. Right. And this is a very, very common question. And really, this question can have so many different iterations. How do you make time for yourself and your friends and your family and your community, whatever group of humans that matter to you when you have, work, school, it's basically what do you do when you have what feels like competing responsibilities, obligations, demands on your time, which is a very, very, very common question. So we're going to talk through that today in the context of this question. But I also want to say that when I'm talking about the husband part of that, if you are not in fact married, you can think of this as whatever other, like I said, relationships you value that you want to make time for. I'm going to go back to my notes because I have not been reading them. Okay, back to my notes. You guys know I get off my notes fairly quickly. But I know that many women think and feel this way before working with me or learning and start living out Best Today principles and practices that we teach through our products and our online programs. So the good news is you do have the time. The time does exist, right? The good news is that I have helped people go from feeling like I literally have no time for myself or my friends or my spouse to without changing anything as far as like the reality of their lives and the season of their life, right? Because we can't change that season of life, but showing them and giving them the tools on how to make the most of what they have and also see opportunities for where they may be wasting time, using distractions and not having clear routines. So the good news is there is a solution to this wherever you are. All of our solutions may look differently because we all have different time constraints, resources, phases of life, responsibilities, etc. Okay. But the good news is, depending on your life season and current responsibilities, it will take varying amounts of effort. It will take varying amount of boundary setting and keeping and pruning, keeping your boundaries, right? Setting boundaries and keeping them, pruning and prioritizing to make this work. So the good news is this will work, right? The other part of the good news is that no matter where you are in life, it will work for you. I'm going to call this good news, right? The other good news is it requires effort. But, we put effort into the things that matter. It requires work and effort and intention. But so does any and everything else that you really want out of this life, right? It will require work and effort and intention. And this is the reason why most people stay in there just isn't enough time struggle rather than actually doing what is needed to make your life, to make time for what you really want in the life that you have in the season that you're in, with the basket that you've been given. If you've heard me refer to that like chopped analogy of, you're given a basket with these things and then you have to make something beautiful out of it. So if you don't want to stay in there's not enough time, I don't have enough time to boat, right? That's a choice. I need you to hear me clearly. That is a choice to stay there. I'm telling you, you do not have to stay in that boat. I can help you with the resources, with the principles, but I'm also telling you it is likely going to require work, effort, intention, and some pruning. That part is not easy. It is always worth it. However, that part is not always easy, but it is always worth it. And it's usually rather simple. Simple does not mean easy because you have to perhaps unlearn some things. You have to disappoint some people in order to appoint yourself to a better position in life. Sometimes you have to disappoint others. And I'm okay with that because honestly, if you love me and value me, you want to see me do things that are best for me and my life and my health, right? Notice how I've not said there's any bad news, because there is no bad news. All of this is good news, because there's a solution to your question and the problem that you have when it relates to your time. And I think that's good news all around. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this into two things. One, making time for yourself, and then two, making time for your husband, your spouse, in any relationship really that matters to you, because I think the advice there is the same on the off chance I have some men listening to my podcast. That's why I said your husband or your spouse. I want to break those two separate, because those are two different things. And I'm going to start with the one that is the most important, and that is making time for yourself, because friends, it starts and ends with us. If I am depleted and tired and exhausted and emotionally, at 1% battery, how can I give 100%, 50%, 60% to someone when I myself am on 1%? So making time for yourself is where I'm going to start. And I'm going to link in the show notes some episodes for those of you who may be struggling with actually believing you deserve and are worthy of the time to invest and commit to yourself. I'm going to include a few episodes in the show notes that come to mind. I know we have like the You assessment. I think there's one about self-awareness, self-love. I'm going to go back and look through the podcast episodes and link to those episodes that I think are really helpful for you, because I know a lot of times part of the reason why you say you don't have time for yourself is because you don't value it. You don't see the value in it, or you think it's selfish, or you think it's a luxury. And I'm here to tell you, you have to stop thinking that way, or your actions will continue to reflect that inner belief. Okay. So let's start with making time for yourself when you feel like I just have too many other, restraints on my time, demands on my time, work, children, insert all the other things, other relationships. Okay. So here's the first thing I want you to understand. People learn how to love and treat you from you. Like, you are the one who teaches people how to love and how to treat you. And so I need you to be a priority on your priority list. And I need you to be at the top of that list, because first things first, you're being an example for those children, right? For that spouse, for the people you're in relationship with, on how to treat yourself. If you're okay with always saying negative things about yourself, if you're okay with continuing to put you last, you are showing people that is how, in turn, they can also treat and view and see you. And even the best of people in our lives who want to love us, who even tell us, hey, take time for yourself, take care of yourself, they are still getting those messages of, you know what? She doesn't care. She doesn't mind always doing. I mean, think about it. Are you the person, or do you know the person? Because one of the two are true, who consistently people will dump any and everything on, because that person continues to say yes, yes, yes. It's because you've trained those people to think, oh, you can always put everything on this person. You can always count on them to just say yes. You can always get them to bend. You can always, right? You've taught them by accepting this, by not setting boundaries, by not using the word no, which is also a full sentence, a full paragraph, a whole book, no, period. You've taught them how to treat and be in relationship with you. Okay. So that's why we want to be an example of what that looks like. I want the people in my life to say, oh, well, Shantae, she is going to do what's best for her mental, emotional, physical health. We know that. We know that this is outside of that boundary she set. We're not even going to bring that to her. See, a lot of stuff doesn't even make its way to me, because people already know the standard, right? And I want that to be true for yourself. So making time for yourself is to be done before you make time for anything else. When you have a demanding or a full daily schedule, it is vital that you, one, are proactively planning before the day and the week begins. That is going to be how you can set that time aside before anything else, before anything else, before anything else. When you put things and plan things in the proper order and the proper, I guess order works in the proper order, what happens is things fit a lot better. There's this analogy I think people have used before, like where you're trying to put like water, sand, and bricks, I think, in a glass dish. You can do it multiple ways, but there's only one way that actually works. This is kind of what I'm thinking. I'm a visual learner, so I was thinking about that. But, when you put things in their proper place, it works. It really, really will work. But when you try to shove everything in and put something that really should be third first, it is always going to feel complicated, like you don't have enough time. So I also want to put that out there. This is why it's so important to be clear on who you are and what you want and what your priorities are. For me, I know one of my first priorities is my relationship with God. If that's number one, but somehow over time, every day, that's like number 5 or number 27, nothing's going to work for me. Not a single thing. I'm going to feel all the things I don't want to feel. So I want you to understand, putting first things first is how you make things work, how you have peace in your life, how you are able to actually live out the life you want to live because it reflects what matters to you. So now back to my notes, because y'all know I already went off. When you have a demanding or a full daily schedule, it's vital for you, 1, to proactively plan before the day and the week begins. This sets us up so we can see what's coming and we can find where I'm going to put myself in before all the other things. Number 2, you have to have boundaries so that you can be present where you are. Right? When you're at work. When you're with your family, be with your family. When you're with your friends, be with your friends. When it's time for you, it's time for you, right? We set those boundaries so we can be present where we are. Right now, while I'm sitting here, the only thing on my mind is talking to you on this podcast. I'm not talking to you while stirring a pot, making dinner, while also posting something on Instagram. I'm where I am doing the thing that is the main thing right now within this boundary. Number 3, you have to stick to your boundaries and the blocks of your day. There's a great There's a great YouTube video I have where I talk about like blocks in my day, how I visually view my day. I will link to that in the show notes as well. Let me make a note before I forget. Link to YouTube video. So I can remember to put that in there for you all as well. I think that will be really helpful for some of you, most of you, if you haven't seen it already. So I'll also include that in the link in today's show notes, which will be at besttodayguide.com/55. Number 4 is don't overcrowd or overschedule your calendar, right? When you do that, you're already setting yourself up for things to feel panicky and rushed and that you don't have enough time. Each day, I need you to stick to what is necessary for that day alone. The results and outcomes that you need at work, at home, wherever else in between. And number 5, you have to include in your day, as if you were as important as every other meeting, call, and deadline, because you are. You have to include yourself in your day as if you were as important as every other meeting, call, deadline, because you are. Making time for yourself is a daily practice. It is not a once a quarter thing, once a week thing, a weekend thing, my off day thing. Think of what you need. What does that look like? What does time for yourself mean to you? Because it means something differently for all of us. For me, one of the first things I think about is when it comes to the daily is my mornings and my evenings, my bookends, the bookends of my day, how I begin it and how I end it. I need to do that alone with time to wake up and time to wind down. And that also for me includes I need time to move my body every day in the way that honors my body in that day. And that ranges from a wide range of physical activity, heavy lifting, stretching, yoga, active recovery, whatever, a ride on my bike. What does it look like for you? I want you to start there and then put that in your Best Today guide for your day. This is why, right, the Best Today guide has every single day. What will you do for your mental, emotional, physical health daily to really help you to build this as a habit and a way of life? Okay. So I'm going to go over those 5 things again. When you have a demanding or a full daily schedule, it is vital, or really any day. Like this is everybody. So if you're listening, like, it's not demanding. You every day, 1, want to make sure you're proactively planning the day and the week before they start. 2, have boundaries so that you can be present where you are. 3, stick to those boundaries and the blocks for your day. For don't overschedule or overcrowd your calendar. Just put the necessary results and outcomes. And yes, I understand there are some days where it's like, this is a full day from sitting in that chair to leaving that office. I have things to do. I have those days as well. Today is actually one of those days. Then knock it out, get it done, be present right then and there. Get those results and outcomes for the day done. And then 5, include yourself in every day as if you were as important as every other meeting, call, and deadline, because you are. Time for yourself is a daily practice. It is not a luxury. It is not for the rich and famous. It is not for the people who don't work outside of the home. It's not for just the people who work outside of the home. It is for every human. It is your birthright, and it is your responsibility as an adult to make it happen. And guess what? That could just be 15 minutes at the beginning and end of your day, 15 minutes in the beginning, middle, and end of your day. It's about the quality and the consistency, right? Over looking at a timeline. It's the quality of that time, doing something that actually is important to you, not just copying what some person on the internet did for theirs, but it's about what actually you need, right? So it's the quality and it's the consistency, doing it over and 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 over, day in, day out, day in, day out. It is going to build, right? Someone who does something consistently for 15 minutes a day is going to get much more value out of it than someone who does something for 5 hours once a week. I know that you may not believe that, but you have to understand the power of quality combined with consistency. Okay. At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today.
Hey, Best Today community. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about how I use the Plans Be Done and the weekly planning pad. I've been using them since right before Thanksgiving 2021. And I have to tell you, the end of Q4 2021 for me was just a hard business time. I was kind of stuck, when you get stuck and you can't take that step forward. And I used these pads, specifically the Plans Be Done first, to just get the clutter out of my mind. And what I loved about the format was it helped me focus on my why and helped me to really kind of hone in on what was important with how I moved forward. And then I was able to so once I mapped it out on the Plans Be Done, I was able to take that, build it into small increments, and start building it into my weekly pad. I love, love, love the weekly planning pad. I cannot operate without that on a weekly basis. I take every Sunday to sit down, review what I posted previously on my weekly planning pad, move anything forward, and just map out my day on a very light level. I use other tools like Outlook, etc., to do the minute planning, but the weekly planning pad allows me to kind of have the freedom and clarity while getting messy on a piece of paper. And I really love both tools together.
Jess, thank you so much for sharing. Oh, I just love it so much. I'm going to tell you, those two products work so beautifully together. And I think it's kind of under the radar how you would think about how they connect, but Plans Be Done, right? Learning how to actually create your plans in a way that allows you to connect with them and also ensure that they actually get done. Hence the name Plans Be Done. Really is fantastic. And then you break that down into, okay, what part of this goes into this week and your overview of your week. So I am so grateful to hear you talk about not one, but two products and how they work so beautifully together. I'm going to link in the show notes to today's episode, everything that just talked about, which is Plans Be Done, our online program, our Plans Be Done planning pad, and our weekly preview pad. It's a lot of P's. But everything will be linked in today's show notes at besttodayguide.com/55. Thank you so much again, Jess, for sharing how our products have really helped you to make sense of the things that are going on and the things that matter to you, because that is what we're in the business of, really helping you to pull out what you need to live your life with intention, leading with self-awareness and self-love. So thank you again, Jess. And again, if you want to learn more about Plans Be Done, our online program, or our Plans Be Done planning pad, or the weekly preview pads, you can learn everything you need to know at besttodayguide.com/55. We will link to all of those different things. And if you are like, I don't know where to start, everything sounds so fantastic. Well, one, you're right. Number two, I've already solved that problem for you. Go to besttodayguide.com/quiz. Take the product quiz. There are short questions, a few short questions, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what product to begin with. It makes it very easy for you. So again, that's besttodayguide.com/quiz. All right, let's get back to the episode. Let's talk about what does this look like in real time when you have children, job, and any other, again, like I said, competing or multiple things that you have that require your time in the day to day. Okay. So you have school hours, work hours, which is assuming your children are school age. School hours, work hours are most likely set in the same time every single day, right? So you have the time that your children are in school and you have the times that you're working, your work hours. Those are set times. You know what that looks like. So before the school and work time is your time, or after school and work time is your time, right? I encourage you to make time for yourself. I prefer both, but if we have to start with one, before school, work, and all the other things that you're going to be doing, because time and time again, what I see is people are so tired at the end of the day that skipping anything for themselves that is healthy is done with so much ease, and it's done repeatedly. Rather than taking the time for the things that fuel you at the end of the day when you're tired, you skip everything, or you go for the mindless, unhealthy, and unhelpful things, scrolling on screens, eating junk food, falling asleep without any type of routine that sets you up for the next day. So I want you to do these things for yourself on the front end, and hopefully also understand how important it is to have those evening routines in place to avoid all those things I just mentioned, like ending your day where it's just like, oh, I was just so tired. All I did was sit and screen, or I fell asleep in my clothes, or I just sat and ate junk on the couch, or I fell asleep on the couch, right? What is that going to do? That's going to pour all of that into your next day, and it's going to become a vicious cycle. If you need help with how to end that cycle and create routines that actually will change that for your life, I want you to go to rightnowroutine.com. We'll link to that in the show notes as well. That teaches you how to create routines that actually work for your life, and really, I know because that's one that we've seen many, many times. People have asked, how do I stop that cycle of I'm just so tired at the end of the day that I end up basically pouring negativity into my next day because I didn't plan for the next day. I wake up in the middle of the night and now it's like 3 a.m. I'm in my clothes. I was on the couch. I was watching all these shows. I understand, but I can tell you again, there's a solution for that. I want you to go to rightnowroutine.com, which I'll also link in the show notes at besttodayguide.com/55. Another thing I want you to do is look at your month, right? This is why I always encourage you to preview your months before the months begin. I tell you exactly how to do that in episode 45, which I will link in the show notes as well. There's also a great YouTube video where I did a live class teaching this and we recorded it. That's on our YouTube channel at besttodaytv.com. I show you how to preview your week. That's also in that video. And we have an episode on that, episode 46, which will link to all of these things again in the show notes. But previewing your week and your months help you to proactively plan in before everything else comes in, right? If you are looking at your month and you already go in and say, these are the places where I'm inserting things for myself, then before all the other stuff comes to the calendar, you can say, oh, there's a conflict there. Here's another thing that happens. You set up time for yourself and then someone says, oh, can we have a meeting there? And you're like, I could bump that. No, you can't, because you wouldn't do vice versa, right? You wouldn't think of something fun for yourself and say, oh, I'll bump that meeting. You're more willing to bump the things you've put in place for yourself than to bump things for other people. And I want you to unlearn that behavior. Okay. So when we preview our months and our weeks, that also gives us an opportunity to look at what is, right? We look and we respect here the meetings, the calls, the deadlines, the things that are happening. Now with that, where can I place in myself before anything else comes into play, right? Where do you need to take a half day to make some time for yourself, a weekend for yourself? But more importantly, where are you building it into every day? Not just, like I said, it's not just a weekend thing. It's not just an off day thing. It's not just a once a quarter thing. Where are you building that in every day? Drinking your water in the morning alone and stretching with your favorite candlelit what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, journaling, walking, reading, whatever that looks like for you, you get to decide what you need. We're all so different. And I usually hesitate to even give examples because I don't want you to be limited by them. I don't want you to be limited by what works for me, by what you see someone else do, by what you read about in a magazine article about top 10 rituals for every woman aged 30 to 50. Yeah, that might be for 90%, 2%. You can be an outlier. Do the thing that you need. Don't say, oh, well, everyone says yoga is so great for them. I've tried it for 3 years and I hate it. Why are you still doing it? Do the thing that works for you. And it may not be yoga. It may that maybe you need Pilates. Maybe you just need to stretch something differently. We all understand the principle of we need to move our bodies, but there are so many options and so many ways and iterations of what that looks like. You don't have to do it the way that everyone else appears to be doing it, right? And also remember, you don't have access to everyone else. Even if it feels like everyone you follow has a Peloton bike, guess what? There are more people in the world without Peloton bikes who don't even know what Peloton is than who do. So remember to also catch those things you're telling yourself and feeling like you have to make yourself fall into a bucket that really doesn't even exist, right? You've created that. Getting off my notes, but that's when the best stuff comes out, right? I want you to understand basically what I'm saying. What I always go back to is understanding what you need for you. What fuels me in the morning may not be what fuels you in the morning. Do what you need for you. And I can't forget to talk about the evenings because we have to do what we need to do to set ourselves up for the next day. You know, what are the things that you need so that when you wake up in the morning, a lot of the things are taken care of. You already have a plan in place. You're not scrambling. Okay, what am I going to put on? What are we going to eat? What's today? Is today soccer practice? Oh, did I take out chicken from the freezer to thaw? That should already be taken care of the night before and with a plan for that day. Okay. Again, rightnowroutine.com will help you with that. Get in the community. We talk about these things all the time, and it's a great place to ask your questions. But the evenings are very, very important. Your evenings are going to affect your mornings. Okay. And for some of you, what you need for yourself is time with your spouse. You know, the thing you might need for you is the time with your spouse, with your friends. So let's talk about that now. How do you make time for those relationships when you have both children and work? So now we're going to switch over and talk about that part of the question. So making time for your husband or any important relationship, friends, family, is just as important and just as easy to put off like you put off time for yourself, right? A lot of you will say, oh, okay, well, they understand. I can cancel this thing. I have this work meeting. And next thing you know, you've become the friend or you've become the spouse that has pushed off time together so consistently that maybe the people won't even ask you to like spend time together. And I want you to be aware of that because little things add up. The first thing when we're talking about your husband, your spouse, communicate to your spouse and get on the same page about prioritizing each other and how you will both actively work to make it happen, right? Just as with time with yourself, time with your spouse or relationships with others that matter to you can be proactively planned and scheduled. You know, my friend Brittany, who I follow on social media, every Friday, her and her husband have a standing tennis date. They go and they play tennis. And I think on Saturday mornings they have like the same breakfast at the same place. And then they have like a little tournament they enter. It's like the consistency of the thing built. And it's just like I was saying with time with yourself, small things done consistency that are quality, they pour way more in relationships. You can't mend a broken relationship on a retreat. Oh, we took this week-long retreat, but what are you doing consistently that's quality? That's where the magic is, right? So again, you can proactively plan this. It doesn't have to be rigid. It doesn't have to be, okay, from 6 to 6:30, this is our time together and this is what we're going to do. You know, although if that works for you, then you do that. But proactively planning ahead of time can look like designating a date day. You know, on Fridays, we have lunch together. That's our time together. And you can put boundaries on that. And during that time, we're not allowed to talk about X, Y, or Z. We spend this time talking about A, B, and C instead, us. continue to get to know each other, exploring, dreaming together, blah, 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 right? You set those kind of beautiful boundaries on that. Breakfast together after the children go off to school. Okay, we send them off, we come back home and we have a little breakfast together, or we go out to our favorite brunch spot, whatever that looks like. We go for a walk before we go to work. Both taking a half day once a month for time together. Again, that's not supplementing the more consistent quality time that's done more consistently. For your friends, that can look like one day a week, designated time for a call. I do a FaceTime with my friends. Each person has a different designated day, and we just catch up. Even though we talk pretty much every day, we'll catch up face to face. Well, through technology, of course. We may get together for lunch, for brunch, for dinner, whatever that is, but we make the time, because here's the thing, everyone. We get one life with 24 hours every day. That's it. We get one life with 24 hours in each day that we get to see. You get to design your life and ensure it reflects your values and what matters to you in the season that you are in. I know that children are a significant responsibility that take a lot of our energy and time and resources overall, right? I know that. I'm in that season, right? However, we are more than one thing. You are more than one thing. I am more than one thing. You are more than a mother, and you can't pour into your mom and work cups for 18 years and think at the end of that time period, you're going to have healthy cups for all those other relationships, including the one you have with yourself. You've got to water the seeds that we want to grow, and neglecting the you seed, neglecting your spouse seed, neglecting your friends, using motherhood as an excuse is not the way. It's not the way, friends. I want you to hit pause and double back and listen to that all over again. It's so important. So you make time by making time. I know that sounds oversimplistic. There's the word I was going to say, but it really is how you do it. And don't allow your mind to overcomplicate it, right? By saying, this is what matters to me, so I am going to take my time seriously. I'm going to cut out every distraction, right? So cut out every distraction and form of time wasting that is in your life. They are there. Get off of social media. If anyone who has this question about how do I make time for myself, for my spouse, people that matter in my life, and you spend an iota of time on social media, that's one way to add time back to your life. Get off the TV, unless that's the time that you're going to use for yourself or your relationships, right? You guys get together and spend time enjoying television together, but be willing to prune anything and everything that isn't pouring life into the things that are most important in this season. And understanding in seasons, particularly when children are involved, it requires pruning. It requires saying, this is what matters the most, and this is what gets my time, which means these other things don't. And be okay with that. That is a requirement. It's part of that work and that effort and that prioritizing and that pruning, right? Utilize the tools that you have to help you to do this. Like I said earlier at the top of the episode, I've seen women go from, I don't have time for anything, to thriving, right? Finding space for themselves, for their children, for their work, for their spouse, for their friends, because they are using the Best Today guide, our weekly preview pads. They're in our community. They're using Right Now Routine to create routines. They're executing on things that matter, what plans be done. Like, use the tools that I have created to help you to answer these questions, to help you right where you are with the life you have. It's not that you have to wait for a different season or a different time in life, or for the effects of a pandemic to be over, or for. You will spend the rest of your life saying, I'm waiting for ideal situations, and ideal situations are looking at you like, we not coming, boo. We not driving by your house. So you have to use what you have, because the life you have right now, as challenging as it may be, as sad as it may be at times, if you go through sad things and hard things, as challenging, dare I say challenging, it's your beautiful life. And now is the time to do something about it, if you have not already, right? You cannot complain while running away from the work and the effort that it takes. You cannot complain while running away from the work and the efforts, because then you become the source of your own misery. You become the source of your own complaints. And I talked about this in an earlier episode about how our complaints are a key to helping us understand the things that we want. So this is something that matters to you, then you have to be willing to do the work and the effort to take get you what you want, all right? To use the time the way you want. Do the work using the tools that we've created for you at Best Today. Learn how to make time your ally and not your enemy. But I need you to hear me well here. I need you to stop using work and children as an excuse for why you cannot show up for yourself. And I say that with so much love for you and so much love to you. I say that as a mother who has been in this house with her children every day for 2 years straight, thanks to a pandemic, while also working, growing a company. I say that as a mother who has worked in corporate America. I know the challenges that women face. That's why I created this company. Literally, that is why I created this company. To show you and to help you by giving you tools and a new mindset on how to think about your time and yourself, because it is possible. No, it's not going to look like the person you keep idolizing on Instagram. No, it's not going to be the same as it was before you had children. This is a season. But even in this season, making time for yourself, for your spouse, for your relationships that matter, it is all possible. Let go of making things look like it did before and embrace how it can look right now in the present. Seasons change, and this one will too. But live this one fully while you are in it, because there is so much living to be had in this season, in every season, including this one. Okay. So to the moms of children age 0 to 18 out there, notice I didn't say working moms, because if you're a mother, like I said earlier, you're a working mother if you're a mother, as far as I am concerned. I need you to understand, moms of children age 0 to 18, understand that this season is one that has room for you to love you, to grow, and to evolve. This is a season where you don't lose sight of who you are. This is a season to deepen the relationships that matter to you. Do not put off living your life for 18 years. You will find yourself as an empty shell, not sure of who you are, with a fragile, weak, if at best, relationship with yourself and with others. You don't starve one thing to feed another. There's room to water the things that matter so that they can grow. Now, we're going to continue this conversation over in the Best Today community. And if you're not inside, you can join us and then download our app to stay connected with this amazing community of women available on Androids and Apples. But we in this community show up for one another in a very special way, unlike I've ever seen before. You can join today at besttodaycommunity.com, or just go to besttodayguide.com and click the community button at the top. And remember that every order of your Best Today guide comes with your first month free in the community. So I hope this answers and gives you concrete ways to really think first, right? Because I have to change your mind before I can change your actions, about how to make time for yourself and your spouse. If you have questions, come ask them over in the community. I'd love to continue this conversation with you. Again, you can join at besttodaycommunity.com. We will have everything that I referenced today linked in the show notes at besttodayguide.com/55. Until the next time we chat again, thank you so much for being present with me for this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. Remember that you are capable and you are worthy of being your best, one today at a time, and that you already have everything you need to have everything you want. So go on and shout it out as you continue to live it out. This is what my best today looks like. I'll talk to you again real soon. If you enjoyed this week's episode of the Best Today podcast, you are going to love the Best Today Guide. Our Better Than a Planner guide teaches you how to get clear on what you want, identify your self-destructive habits and behaviors, and intentionally create space to prioritize yourself every single day. Don't go the journey to being your best one today at a time without the Best Today Guide. See inside its pages and order yours today at besttodayguide.com. Even better, when you order the Best Today Guide, we gift you with your first month free inside of the Best Today membership. So what are you waiting for? We're giving you everything you need to trade busy for intention. Go to besttodayguide.com and order yours today, and join thousands of women across the globe proclaiming each day, "This is what my best today looks like."